One, this is the project submission for the course of Human Factors in AI by Duke University. We're going to be talking about the project of predicting capacity demand for a digital banking software product and services organization. In this section, we're going to talk about the problem and the task analysis. The problem statement is that inaccurate demand planning leads to revenue loss and customer churn. It matters because unavailability of product or service causes loss of business opportunity, whereas over-availability leads to higher provisioning costs. What you can see in front of you is the task analysis of how the process goes about provisioning the cloud capacity. As you can see, there are two key decisions that happen in this process. The first one is to provision the cloud services capacity per customer per product. This has to be done 24 hours before the service availability, and the second decision is to place support personals, which is to be done 12 hours before the provisions. These two decisions can be complemented using an AI model, which can help drastically reduce the turnaround time as well as help in better prediction of these values. So let's look at the problem from a user experience design point of view. The first one is the user inputs. A typical user would interact with the proposed solution through a web form. The web form will clearly detail the attributes and communicate the overview of data logging mechanisms. This will help the users understand the form clearly as well as understand how the data is being used. Transparency. To provide transparency, each data source will have citations and provide appropriate insights on where AI model is being used and where other mechanisms are being used. Communicating uncertainty. To communicate the uncertainty in the AI models, we will provide confidence level of estimates and appropriate range of values rather than a point estimate. This will help the end user understand the uncertainty in the outcome of the predictions and make necessary actions if required in special circumstances. Feedback loops. To improve the future performance of the models, we will collect implicit feedback through historical data tracking as well as explicit feedback through user input forms. Privacy considerations. Just like in any other AI model, there can be privacy considerations in this scenario as well. The key concern is that as we are aggregating data for digital banking products, there are multitude of privacy considerations, which could include spilling over of any personally identifiable information, data of users of the system, as well as details of features which form the inputs of the AI model. The following laws may be applied in these scenarios: the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1970, the Fair and Accurate Credit Transaction Act of 2003, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act of 1999, and GDPR. Ethical considerations. Just like in any other AI model, there are multiple sources of bias that can arise over time. The first one is the algorithmic bias. Systemic errors can happen during the design phase, and this could lead to algorithmic bias in the AI model. The second is the historical bias. As the customer base for the particular company changes over time, the historical data can get skewed, and this could introduce a historical bias. Representation bias. This can arise out of different geographical as well as demographical profile of users over time. To meet the three goals of ethical AI, which is fairness, accountability, and transparency, we can do the following. We can define the fairness goals and conduct fairness audits on a regular interval. To improve accountability, ownership documents which detail individual and group level accountability should be created. To improve transparency, we can provide the users visibility and details on interpretation of the model and relative feature importance. This will help the user understand how the model is being used in different scenarios and will drastically improve the transparency around using the AI model. This concludes my submission for the project of human factors in AI. Thank you very much for listening.